Okay, well, here we are. We're going to be looking at the Plastic Soldier Company's 172 scale British Churchill tank. And here it is. This is a new kit, relatively new. And I have to tell you that, as with many other companies, products that we've kind of found and discovered, it's pretty impressive. This is a solid plastic, solid hard plastic model as opposed to soft plastic. This is relatively hard plastic, meaning it can throw shards when you cut pieces from the spruce. So that's the first thing I will tell you. As before, sorry about the fan in the background, but that's the furnace going. Once again, we see that company has put a lot of effort and contracted, hired out, found, whatever. Pretty good artists. And this is the British Churchill tank. 3 or 4 different versions are available in here. Namely, the Mark IV, which is a 6-pounder, the Mark VI, which is a 75 millimeter, and not much more powerful than the Sherman 75. And the Mark V is the 95 millimeter close support, and the what's called AVRE, with a petard mortar, very large flying, what they would call the dustbin projectile for taking out fortifications. Very effective against concrete, shape charge, high explosive, short range. So what we're looking at here, I've already got them off the sprue and I'm starting to clean them up, and you can see right away that this is the body. I'm doing both models at the same time, so you're going to see this repeated. Top and bottom. It's essentially the way this is going to work. As you can see, these guys, Plastic Soldier Company, have got some pretty good AutoCAD and or CNC and or drawing going on. They're very good at doing what they do, that's for certain. This is a really well produced and laid out model. There is a super fit of these seams where the two pieces have come together. Just really good job in plastic injection molding. You see that there is great detail. They've got the bulk of the accoutrements and so on that you would see in a World War II vehicle molded in. You've got your engine hatches, and by the way, because of the fact that we are on a piece like this, it's very hard plastic, as I said before, it would be hypothetically possible to cut those out, but I got to tell you, it's a very thick piece of plastic. It's not thin. You can see right here, I won't hold it or change the camera at all, but that is a very thick piece of plastic. If you really wanted to, a Dremel tool could cut into here and take these hatches out for modeling purposes, but for war games, not so much. Don't really need them. Be nice to have it though. Hatches for the front of the vehicle and so on. So we're going to follow the directions for putting together the looks like the turrets first. Well, not bad, not very complicated at all. As you can see with this drawing, it's an AutoCAD or it's a computer generated image, and it's pretty accurate. The only thing I have to caution, make a note about, is that it appears that they used the same turret for all three versions of this Churchill tank. I love the idea. Fast build tanks are great, but in this particular case, if you're a stickler for reality, I think that's actually not correct. The the later marks of the Churchill contained a lip. I believe they contained a lip at the bottom. And that may have been a non-production element. It may have been a field modification. I'm not entirely sure, but I have seen the models where this turret has a lip at the bottom where it where it closely sits on the hull of the tank. This may have been done to prevent damage to the inner turret ring or something of that nature, but the fact is, when you put these turrets together, you can see that I'm thinking that this turret is actually not the most common or what we have seen in videos and such. What we have seen in videos appears to be the turrets of a very much more square-shaped turret. This one, it might just be a middle ground that they've agreed on for all three marks. I could be wrong, but I think that could be the case. I'm just not entirely sure. But anyway, that's the first thing that got my attention, was the fact that this lip right here, where it's going to attach to this bottom part of the turret, is the thing we're going to watch for. And this is showing, by the way, the use of the 6-pounder anti-tank gun in the turret. So you can see that there is a commander's hatch. There's two different versions of that. One is open and one is closed. Here we see the one that's closed. And we'll go right to that, kind of show that. My little tape is coming off here. I use this to keep the view of the camera static, so I know where to put something in the view. So here's the inside, bottom of the turret. There's the top. Here is, stabbing you with my knife, here is the, oh, didn't get it. Alright, hello. A little hard to stick, but that's actually good. So here we have the, that's the turret hatch, and it's open because we are going to place the commander, which comes in the model. He hasn't got his arms applied yet, but he's going to sit in there, and it looks as if, oh yeah, he sits sideways. Well, the turret, actually, the hatch is turned a different direction. So you can see, I'll put it up a little closer, not a bad amount of detail at all. Very, very good. So we're going to clean this up, and we'll put it on there and get that guy ready to go. Here we're going to investigate the turret. And again, an absolutely fantastic meeting of the seams, of the pieces. That seam is just about virtually gone. It's such a good job. So nice, nicely done. Let's have a look. We're going to do the, as we said, the 75mm gun, which we've taken off the sprue. Oh, now this is where I actually forget what side the machine gun. There's a 7.92 machine gun. I think it goes left. It's on the left side, viewed from the top. There we go. So it's like that. Alright, so do we want the gun to move? Not sure yet. My first instinct is to not let that gun move because they tend to just move too much. Well, let's have a look. What's the point of having it move? Well, not that much really. Doesn't hurt anything to have it move, but it might become loose. That's the problem. And we don't want that. So we might just glue it in there. Kind of choose a straight, almost as if he's firing very close. And glue it in the position right there. Alright, so then what else have we got? Seem to have a, was it an ammo storage? or a radio hanging over the turret. I don't remember. Even though I am half Canadian, I kind of forget sometimes. Glad the fan stopped. You can hear me better. So that's the way it goes on. Let's take it off and kind of clean this up a little better. Alright, not bad. And again, just taking, precautions. You probably don't have to clean it up this much, but the fact is that because this is our first time building this, we don't really know. And we'll just, better to be safe than sorry. Making sure that that fits on nice, looking around it. And then we're going to match it up to the, that's okay. Match it up to the turret and see, does it just glue on? It looks as if there's nothing to attach to. So it just seems to glue on there. The directions, in fact, show it just an arrow pointing to it. So it looks like it gets glued on. I'm going to default to the fact that the hatch has probably got to be pretty tall so a person can open it. It's not going to hang above, but it's going to be at least at the same height as the turret itself, the top of the turret. Okay, let's check the fitting of the commander's hatch. That seemed to be perfect. I believe it's going to go, you see that one turret is, or the one hatch that we have here we have the, and I think we've cleaned it up. That's going to go sideways from our view as well, and that just fit perfect. This is very impressive model. And so if you want to see what it looks like with the guy in it, there he is. I think it should be mounted. I don't think it gets turned. It gets straight. It goes, pretty sure that just mounts straight. You see that this hatch is facing obliquely to the middle axis. So I didn't really know that. That's interesting. It's not flush, it's not centered and such in the turret. Okay, so there's our guy, and we'll take him out and take off the pieces here. Let's go ahead and check out the other pieces for the other turret. We'll do them both at the same time, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of show you the progress. Okay, we're coming back here. It's coming together, of course, a lot better than we expected. A lot faster, because the quality is extremely good. So we're going to come back before we actually finish the turret, make a couple of pointers. Because the fit is so good, you can use a very, very little bit of glue. You can really be conservative with the glue, and it should be more than enough to make it perfect. Now, even I here just now made a mistake. I put too much glue on, and there's a little bit of a pool around the rim of this, and I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take it off. I don't usually do that. I'm not usually that careless, but on one hand, the fit is really tight and good, and you kind of want to have to be careful with that. Like, as you can see, that glue is already melting into there. I'm just going to have to accept that, fix it with the paint job. My bad. All right. So, but that's what we're here for, to show you these things. You can maybe detect a little bit of that liquid around the edge there. Probably hide when the painting, oops, you know what? Good thing I noticed this. I got it turned around the wrong way. Okay, so it'll hide, I hope, and then we'll put our commander together and put him on there. Let's do the other one. Now, how can you avoid that going forward? There is a way. As you can see, I'm using an old glue nozzle, and the best way I've found to defeat this possibility is with a toothpick. So I will search for my toothpicks. And as it happens, there we go. Sometimes you have to have access to this ancient technology, or it just won't, things won't come together. It won't be easy for you. And I just lost almost the last toothpick I have, at least down here in the bunker. So, alright, sorry for not doing anything visually. There we go. So I'm going to leave the length for the toothpick. It's easier to grab. I'm going to put some glue on the end here, and that is what I'm going to use to apply to the actually, I'm going to do this like this. I'm going to run this, hold your breath, along the edge like this. I'm being very careful because we are talking about a model that's so well made. That lip fits so perfectly. The slightest bit of overglue and you've got a spill. Okay. And then straighten it out, Terry. Okay, and there we go. Now this is not glued on yet. It's just sitting there. It's so perfect. And I'll use the same technique to get the glue for that hatch as well. And remember, well, you probably don't, a billion years ago, little dabble do ya commercials for, what was that, Brill cream or something? In this case, a micron amount of glue will do ya. Anything more than a micron, and it's too much glue. Why? Because, again, right, I have to say it, these guys have made a really good model here. This is a really good job. So you need just a little bit of glue. Because the better the model, the better the glue. At least the less glue you have to use. Right? Boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Perfect. Outstanding. Let's have a look at our pilot, I should say, commander, his arm assembly. Just cut it. Okay. He's holding binoculars, like that's all they ever did was hold binoculars. Okay, it's 1/72 scale, but it goes together like 28 millimeter. Very impressive. Again, with the glue on the toothpick as your pseudo applicator. because the actual glue dispenser itself, the tube, is old. Been sitting around. It's been squeezed a lot. And you know, I just got this little idea. I'm going to have him not quite hold that binoculars up to his face like he's just about to, or he just did, and now he's checking out what he's looking at with his eyes instead of using the binoculars. You don't normally see that. You normally see the binoculars either down all the way or up at the guy's eyes. In this case, I'm going to go, no, let's have the guy just look, and now he's taking him down to look again. He's like, what? Okay, he's not too sure what he's looking at. All right, so he obviously can't go in this turret. Goes in the next turret here, this guy. And for this, we don't need to worry about our toothpick. So we can just plop a little bit of glue in there, because who knows, we may want to pull this guy out for whatever reason. And don't, of course, lose him, because if you drop him on the floor, that's a whole nother issue entirely. Okay, so the guy's in there. You can see that he's on there pretty good. He's on there pretty good. Looking pretty good. He's looking around. Not too sure what he sees. Okay. Alright. So there's our one turret down. The other turret, not quite actually, sorry. There's that back storage box we have to put on there. And again, we don't need to worry about the toothpick applicator. We'll just put a dab of glue on here and spread it around as we need. As you can see, I'm using it just like that, as a little pool to dab the piece onto and match it up, because I'm going to cover that. Okay. Make sure it's square, and check the back, of course. Make sure the back is correct. Looks about right. Okay. And then there's another piece, which is I think this was the antenna connecting. Antenna canister, which goes just about like this, and this is going to require our toothpick again, because in this case we have a very small area to work in, and it's curved. Okay, and the taller bit of it goes at the top. It looks like it goes right on the corner, just like that. Okay, so there's one. And the next one, do the same. Put that little dab on here, make a little pool, a little bead. Come back, get our piece, dab it on where we like the glue to touch the model. Because we're going to cover this pool area up, we can go ahead and be sloppy about it. Put our glue around the base of the piece that we are that we are working on, and we're done. So now I'm going to just guess at the location. All right. And a little sloppy, a little impatient. I'll cover up that little bit too much glue. A little impatient, but that's okay. That's going to get covered up. It's not that big of a concern right now. What the bigger concern was this gun. Quite dry, but close to being dry. I want to make sure that gun is not falling to a degree that's going to make it look strange. Okay, that looks pretty good. This one here, check the gun. Looks good, like it's aiming at the proper azimuth. Okay. not bad. And there we are. So there's our 2 turrets done for the 2 tanks that we've started. And actually, I had a little bit more room. I didn't have to put this tape here. I could have moved that tape a little bit. Well, that's all right. It's electrical tape.